Hello and welcome to the Racetech Euro V8 Supercar Series live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick and alongside me for this evening's racing is Marco Barbonet. We're here for the media day of this Season 8 of the season. Marco, brand new car for this season. It is a proper change for these drivers and hopefully we're going to have a few more drivers as well we haven't seen before taking to the grid today.
Absolutely, grid which is on your screens right now. I will quickly run through it very quickly. In fact, Nicole Foggy, Tony Klusterman 1 and 2, McClay and Jackson, then Brandon Carr, Staller and Wormingham, Jay McKnight, Wayne Sanderson, Steve Lavalli. Then we have Lane O'Connor behind him. And then going ahead, we have Marco Nurmela, Joshua Chin, Adam Chmielewski, Jaroslav Sebula, Anthony Woodward, Jamie Wilson, Clyde Whiting, Gary Croft, Justin Rebello, Filippo Antonio, Nikolai Bogatairev, Peter Bingham, and you see all the other drivers on your screen right now. What can we say, Sam? A full field 40 cars today for this media day. First round of the season. These cars, might I add, are absolutely stunning. One in particular. You will never guess which one.
Could be in for a terrific race. There's 25 minutes in length, 2 races for you tonight, and of course a reverse grid getting involved. So great to see Nicole Foggy back on the grid. The former champion, of course, Season 7 was his title. Johnny Brandon starting 5th place, of course, the reigning champion. No points on offer today for the championship, but a lot of pride at stake all the while. Foggy waits on the grid, Klusterman alongside him, McClay runner-up from last season. Great to see a few drivers back as well, including Marco Nurmela, who we've seen amongst, and certainly Jamie McKnight as well. But here we are then, the lights coming on for the drivers. 25 minutes at Watkins Glen is about to get underway, and the lights are out. Foggy, seemingly a decent start for him. He should be able to stay ahead in the lead. Is Klusterman going to be under pressure from McClay going into turn 1? No, he isn't, as they will start the charge up the hill and then down that back straight. Good driving from the top 5. Oh, massive spin in the background for, it might be Reed or maybe, yeah, one of the drivers spinning on the inside. I think a driver went off way wide at turn 1 as well. Oh, we're going to have a crash at the front of the field. Massive impacts. Are they going to go back into the middle of the circuit? Thankfully, they don't, although they do now a little bit. That's George McClay from 3rd position. Oh, we're going to have another big impact, and that's going to involve a couple more drivers.
That was Joshua Chin.
Just completely unsighted.
Many very damaged car there, as the season is off to a chaotic start here in the Euro V8. Valley fighting with McKnight, I'm sorry, there for 6th position, but back at the front it's still XVR 1 and 2 with Foggy and Brandon Jackson up to 3rd, Tony Klusterman down to 9th.
Yeah, that's an incredible start then for Brandon to get that far up. Jackson trying to get past Brandon. Up 3 places is Johnny Brandon. What an incredible start for him. Never counts him out. Of course, the reigning champion, the 2-time champion, the only 2-time champion, besides Tony Klusterman, of course, warming him up 4 places as well, as Howard Stadler having a spin. He did start in about 6th place, did Howard Stadler, and yet he's right at the back of the field. So troublesome start for many in the top 10. However, it's Foggy, he's the one who's got away cleanest, and he still leads by 1.3 seconds, 1 lap completed. Of course, a new car for us to get used to will be pretty telling from the racing today how effective the slipstream is in this car. As we've got Nurmela running wide. He's still side by side with his rival, just about doesn't understeer into him. Racing around this part of the circuit and now onto the back straight. Nurmela has the slipstream. However, he's going to lose it straight away. Nurmela giving someone else the slipstream, the 265 car, who might just be able to move ahead of him. A lot of grip on the outside of this carousel bend. And Nurmela may not lose a place, but certainly nowhere near gaining a place.
As we see Nikolai Bogatayrev with a new livery, which I mean, we'll get time to use to this new livery by Bogatayrev. Usually the white and red livery for him, but he's using this very nice quasi
Stabbed it with
metallic.
another issue.
You are right. You are absolutely right. And also
And
we
John
have
Manley.
John Manley from Cyprus. Is pointing in the wrong direction. Black box sim racing shake. Beautiful livery. We have seen it earlier today, but also now with Manley and I think, yes, of course, his teammates, including Glen, Gelite, Müller, but also other team, the racecraft livery of Nurmela. Many teams are going for this matte black metallic gold, mix duo, and that is quite beautiful, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's been impressive how these drivers have crafted these liveries. Certainly showing them off very well, and certainly maybe not an element that we expected to iRacing, but has been very welcome now that it is here, especially for us commentators, because we can feast our eyes on this action in front of us. Richard Warmingham can't get past Chris Jackson, who certainly drops off Johnny Brandon. By the way, on that last lap, Foggy with the fastest lap of the race. Only Brandon getting anywhere near his lap time. Everyone else at least half a second further back. In fact, pretty much we've got a long pack from second place all the way down pretty much to 13th. Gary Croft, there's not a whole big gap between any of these drivers. Warmingham almost having an attempt. It would be remarkable if we saw an XVR 1, 2, 3. That's going to be a big element, I imagine, Marco. It's a chance for maybe some of these smaller teams, or I say smaller teams, but some of these newer teams. It's a reset now. Never Quit Racing in particular has been the top of this car for so long. Of course, now that they're brand new cars, all their setups are completely useless.
Yes, absolutely, and of course the new tire model, throw into the mix the new tire model, and it makes for quite a big change, a big shift. But as I said, the top drivers, we talked about this in the past. The top drivers will still be at the top, and Foggy, Brandon, Jackson, Warmingham, your top four, very familiar looking, and of course Tony Klusterman trying to make a comeback with this lovely new NQR livery. We have been on board with the Holden, let's jump on board with the Ford for the first time.
Policeman stuck behind another XVI driver of Steve Lavelli. Been a very good start for those guys, apart from Lane O'Connor, who seems to have lots of places. Start in about 12th place, did Lane O'Connor. Apologies, he's in 9th place, so another driver doing very well. Foggy, 4/10 of a second faster, 6/10 of a second faster than everyone else on that last lap. This certainly doesn't seem to say he's been away from this series as long as he actually has done. Jackson hang on to the podium places. Other big gainers out there, Chumaleski, who's a driver who haven't seen too much of in the past. He's up 5 places, currently up into 10th place. Also, Gary Croft having a good start, starting in 20th place, which is pretty low for a driver of the caliber of Gary Croft, but he's gained 7 places so far. So Taylor Lane gaining 10 places to 18th. JP Boussalan and Ben Gloat gaining 15 and 17 places respectively. So some big changes, and then we've got the likes of Stadler and Chin, McClay, Wilson, Rebello, all having big troubles in these early laps.
I want to see again the crash at the start from Joshua Chin's perspective. Of course, Joshua Chin, one of the more experienced drivers in iRacing, especially on the ovals, but I think a new driver on these V8s, if I'm not mistaken, not the best of starts as you could see there. Then in front of him there is some chaos. You can see, I think, one of the Fitztie cars right in front of him. Then up the hill, massive lockup by everyone, trying to avoid collisions and similar nasty stuff. And then I think was he maybe looking behind him
I'm
in the
surprised
mirror?
because when I first saw that, I thought, oh, he was just unsighted there. But actually, if you look at it like that, then there was a bit of time to react for him. But no doubt, as you say, Marco, maybe just looking in the mirror, looking alongside him, because he did react eventually, but just far too late. Of course, fast repair for these drivers as, oh no, Chmielewski. And that is a strange occurrence because, well, crash there. He's gone side by side with another driver. Oh, well, that seemed as though was that the 86th driver, Marco Namella, who he made contacts with.
You are quite correct.
And Namella just seemed to come across there. It was quite strange of him to do so. Namella, who we've seen in the World F3 Championship in the past, very, very quick driver. I mean, could probably go for a pro license, such as his pace. But of course, brand new for him. Does take these drivers we've seen in the past at least a season to get anywhere near the top, anywhere near their potential at least, and even beyond then, you improve season upon season. Even Tony Klosterman, who won the first 2 seasons in this series and hasn't won a championship since, I'm sure he would vouch that he's improved over the years. But such is the competition that has arrived over these past few seasons. He seems to be 3rd or 4th place in the championship.
And so 25 minutes will be this race. Then we will have another race which will be 45 minutes. In between there will be a short break and of course the return of the reverse grid wheel, which makes me very, very happy.
Absolutely. Oh, into the wall. Philip Antonia will take advantage of that. That's Taylor Lane, one of the largest gainers so far in this race. Great to see Philip Antonia, by the way, out there after taking a bit of a hiatus last season. But Taylor Lane seems to have got away with that. He's very lucky, Marco.
Very, 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 very lucky indeed. Now he's really risking as Jackson falling into the clutches of Wormingham. We have heard from Johnny Brandon that Wormingham was, I think, the only unhappy person in the world when iRacing announced the new cars, because, quoting Johnny, finally he figured out the old car, and the moment he figured it out, iRacing brought out the new one. But looks like he is quite comfortable with his new one as well, and he has been one of those drivers who has been on an ever-improving trajectory since we started following this league.
Of course, he won race 3 in the ARL-TC series just a few days ago, and that is insanely competitive, one of the most competitive leagues on all of iRacing. And Steve Lavelli, well, there had to be some kind of stop for the XBI drivers, and maybe this is just the first issue for them today, and he will have to go back to the pits. You'll see those all those pit crews by the wall. Unfortunately, they won't hop over the wall. Instead, they'll use their magic spells to change the tyres. But we can hope for next season that'll be addressed. Nikolai Bogotyrev trying to get past, but just gets held up the hill, and now needs to really line this one up for a good move into the carousel.
Also, I just noticed Nikolai Bogotyrev betraying the Blue Oval after all these years. Too bad, he was one of my favorite drivers in the series. And now he's joined the dark side, as you can see by the certainly not invasive Holden logos all over his dashboard.
I feel like that could be replaced by some more useful equipment. Have one of those like is it GTE, which have the
rear view camera, yeah.
The rear view camera, yeah. That'd be quite useful.
In real life, they use that little screen there to go through the sponsors, because for the driver it's impossible to look over there, no?
Oh,
it's
okay.
not the driver looks straight in front at his display there. So it's for the onboard camera like this to show the sponsors. There's like a number of sponsors that goes through each second. It changes. Must be very distracting for the driver.
I mean,
Before
we
doesn't
need that
have
element in iRacing. Jeez, that'd be fantastic having a little billboard in the on the inside of the car.
As you can see, the Ford doesn't have such commercial amenities on his car.
course, iRacing doing a great job with all these interiors. Absolutely, the up to scratch. Apparently, they were modeling the GT4 Cayman, and they at the Autosport show they specifically got the keys to the Cayman so that they had them in the interior of the car as well. Such is the attention to detail as John Manley has had an issue.
Yeah, missing the corner by quite some distance, and you know this car designed, I think both for the old and the new damage model, but you know, au contraire to the Audi, it actually brakes. This fight is going. Look at the paint being scraped from the side of Sebula's car there. We were talking about this during the roar before the 24, which I think happened a couple of hours ago here on Apex Racing TV.
Awful commentary I heard of it.
Oh,
Did
terrible.
not track anything that was going on.
Who are those guys? I mean, how can Apex give jobs to those guys? Still.
It's quite upsetting, actually.
And I heard that one of the guys got a prize for his great work. According to Apex, he will do the next broadcast as well on the esports network at 22 GMT. Unbelievable. Where is the meritocracy?
I mean, I can't hear what he says, to be honest. His accent is so, I mean, cannot figure it out whatsoever. Well, at least they're not us. That is that's the good thing about that story. Closest battle at the moment on circuit, pretty much. As Kloosman's got past McKnight.
Kloosman got past McKnight, you are... Yes.
That's a blast from the past. Jamie McKnight, of course, a driver in the... He drives in the AOSC, but he certainly drives in one of those Aussie V8 divisions. So it's very early in the morning for him currently. But the fact that this is Saturday evening for us Europeans, Sunday morning for the Aussie, so is manageable for him. Hopefully we'll see much more of him later on in the season, because he, of course, fought Johnny Brandon quite sternly for the Season 5 title for the first half of the season. Unfortunately, fell away a little bit later on. But still, one of the most competitive drivers out on this field. Cannot currently keep up with Tony Kloosman, though. Kloosman's car seems like it's got an extra 10% of downforce than the New Zealand's driver.
Spend a word for Greg Carr, who is, of course, not only in 5th overall, but threatening the top 4 and leader of the Racetech, of the leader of the gentleman class, of course, as you can see by the white stripe on his side, and of course the white banner on his car. So I think he's due for a promotion if he keeps up like this. Of course, early days of the season, but great paces. Birmingham leaves a nice mark with his tires there on the ground. Nice slide coming out of the final corner, but Carr seems to be all over him.
This is mega impressive from Greg Carr. I can't recall him being quite this competitive before. I mean, I think he's got top 5s in the past. Plenty of club drivers getting podiums and even race wins around this very circuit, of course. Hal Stadler and Sam Buzan taking their first ever wins in this series last season. I think we also saw a podium for maybe Steve Lavelli, not quite sure. As this was Kloosman going wide. So he gets past McKnight, and that grass is very slippery, and he has to back away from it in the end. So loses a place. Warming, though, having to go defensive, and this is really going to invite the other drivers in on this battle. McKnight is 2.5 seconds behind. However, McKnight was 8 tenths slower on that last lap, perhaps due to the fact he got overtaken, I think, by Kloosman. You can just hear Warmingham's tyres screeching, pushing them right to the limit. Shouldn't overheat too much, should these tyres, compared to the last generation of tyres, but the track is 40 degrees Celsius, so not necessarily a whole lot of grip for these guys, as Warmingham's a little bit offline again.
I have to say something as he goes wide, side by side, oh, sliding! This Holden is a beautiful car. let me say something you will never hear from me again. But this Holden is absolutely gorgeous. Both cars are beautiful. The Holden is absolutely massive step up from the previous generation of Holdens, in my opinion, in terms of looks. In terms of performance, of course, the Ford gives you that extra second per lap, which
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's not as I told since they switched to Ford, Foggy and Brandon won 3 titles out of 3. So
It's quite conclusive, isn't it?
after my suggestion to switch to Ford, I should add, which makes me a very competent commentator because I know what I'm saying.
And when
So,
you think how awful Foggy and Brandon are, it's quite remarkable how they have won the championship. I mean, it is a massive advantage that it gives you. And just as a reminder as well, most drivers used to drive the Holden because it didn't have the bump in the bonnet.
yeah,
So literally like 70% of drivers, I remember back in season 4, I think it was probably more like 80% of drivers, before of course you had your influence, Marco, ran the Holden, and yet still the Fords come out on top. Really does just show how much faster it is. But currently these guys, 4th and 5th, representing the Holden well. Looking down the inside is Greg Carr. Is warming him deep on the brakes. He was a little bit squirrely at this part of the track on the last lap. Does get stopped impressively this time. McKnight did close the gap a little bit. You know what? Klusman's already on the back of McKnight. If he didn't make that mistake, Klusman, he would definitely be back on the back of the 4th and 5th place drivers right now. Instead, he might just have enough time to get past Jamie McKnight, but that move was tricky last time. It's not going to be a whole lot easier this time either.
By the way, if you remember in the last interview of last season, Johnny Brandon was talking about potentially switching back to Holden. He did not. He's still in the Ford, whilst Foggy, after disappearing as Klusterman goes on the inside of his teammate and passes him, after disappearing, now we know why he disappeared from the halfway point of last season. It was not a TCR, it was the Holden, the dark side took him away, and now he's driving the Holden for season 8.
Closest as he's ever been. Greg Carr down to 1/10 of a second. Goes to the outside. Haven't seen too much side by side at this carousel corner so far. Often the outside line is the better one. Maybe a little bit more banking. Also, of course, when it's as hot as this, maybe you want to get off the slick line. And maybe go out on the marbles potentially. It's not there at the moment though for Carr. It is one of the most tricky cars to overtake in all of iRacing, Marco, this, and especially around a circuit like this where maybe your best opportunity in this car is on the brakes because the braking zones are so large, but of course there's very few slow speed corners. This is one of them though, and Greg Carr might take advantage of it. Warmingham's wide, but he'll have the inside for the next corner, and Carr can't quite launch out of that corner anyway.
As we are appreciating from the gyroscopic camera, the track that seems to be flat in the corner, but it isn't, as you can see. There is always a little bit of banking in the corners. Not much, but makes for interesting racing nonetheless. 21 minutes and change on the clock of 25 scheduled for the first race of this media day. Or should we say media night? But whatever. As Carr goes in on the inside. Very tight. Warmingham has a better run on the outside and keeps the position.
So Klusman got past McKnight. I think we missed that one and has already pulled away. So actually I was saying he didn't have a chance of catching up to ahead of him. He will probably catch up. He'll have to overtake as well. McKnight's letting him go quite easy.
I know we already did 2.3 hours of broadcasting earlier, but we watched this overtake live. Maybe the replay will refresh your memory, Sam.
Apology. Did we really?
Yes.
Oh my! I was saying earlier on how my memory is bad. Oh dear me! I genuinely cannot remember it.
What is this with Apex TV overworking their commentators?
Yeah, again, terrible.
Terrible. As we say hello to Sam Kumo, who was with us in the broadcast booth for the for the roar before the 24, as Car still not able to pass Warmingham, who's defending very well, but they have to be careful because look Sam in the mirror, that blue and orange car is certainly getting closer and closer.
Sam Buzan just moving ahead of Michael Frost, by the way. That's quite far down the order. Also, Antonio, I think, getting past Hoffman quite recently.
Oh,
Ooh.
Tony on the edge.
1 second behind now. Oh, Michael Frost has had a bigger issue now. He's dropping down the order. There he is. A long way behind.
A long way behind, yes. So it was a long fight between himself and another driver, which was Sam Buzin, like you were saying. They passed each other, then repassed each other again. And then something must have happened to the beautifully levered car of Vulcan Esports, clipping the curb, clipping the grass, and sadly clipping the wall.
Warmingham this time might be under a bit more pressure from Carr. Still has the inside line though, and that was as close as Carr has come so far. Of course, Carr and Klusman are teammates, and so maybe he might let his two-time champion have a go instead at the race lead. We are going to have one more lap after this one, just, I believe. It will be quite marginal. Warmingham going defensive again. Oh, that's great pace carried by Carr. They make contact. Can Klusman, well, Klusman will get one of them. Can he get two of them? It's Klusman v Warmingham. Carr might stay ahead of McKnight, but only just. And we are going to go for one more lap then.
Oh, in the fence.
Oh, dear.
Who was that? It was McKnight.
Oh, McKnight.
Another NQR car. So, yes, the white flag is in the air. Let's see what happened to... Sorry. Oh, he went wide. Too wide. And, of course, with this new tire model, when you get onto the dirt, onto the marbles and onto the grass especially, you are gone. There is no way to gather the car back up.
So on this final lap, lap 15 of this race, only just edged it in, so watch out for drivers potentially having fuel issues right at the end. But we've got Foggy leading Brandon. Jackson only just behind Brandon, but about 1.5 seconds between them, and then we got this battle. Warmingham versus Klusterman. Klusterman looks to the inside, Warmingham leaves the door open, and you don't need to invite the Canadian twice. Klusterman can pretty much shove out his rival if he wishes to. He does drag that car quite wide, and Warmingham may not be fully happy with that. However, it seemed like a legit move. And Tony Klusman, good recovery from him after a couple of mistakes, back up into 4th place. McKnight trying to recover as many positions he can. He might be able to get past Marco Nomella. Nomella runs wide. However, he has got the better line, and we haven't seen him made too much overtakes so far. This will still be a decent result, and of course, the further down he finishes, the higher up he'll start for race 2 potentially. Looks down the inside once again. We are going to have to cut to the race leader relatively soon. McKnight can't get it done. Makes contact as Nicole Foggy is going round the final corner as we speak. Here he comes then. The season 6 champion approaches the line, and he wins at Watkins Glen. Race 1 goes his way. Johnny Brandon makes it a 1-2 for X3 Sim Racing, and it's Chris Jackson and Tony Klusman. 3 and 4 for Never Quit Racing. Has Jackson got it done? Sorry, has McKnight got it done? No, he hasn't. Has to stay behind. But he will be one of the players perhaps for race 2 after a late slide for him. A little bit of damage on that car as well. Still got plenty more just to cross the line, as is the size of the field today. However, I believe pretty much everyone who's still running, at least, did finish on the lead lap. Josh Chin finished a lap down, by the way. So too did George McLeod, but those two with big issues, I think, having to take fast repairs. Can Jamie Wilson hang on to his place, or can he even gain a place potentially on the number 76 car ahead. Taylor Lane's just got past Nikolai Bogotyrev right at the end. He might have had a couple of issues. There is Bogotyrev trundling across the line. Jamie Wilson, will he be able to pick up a late position? No, he can't. As they scorch past the stranded Russian. Howard Stadler. Well, if we get a full first grid, then I know who my money will be on for the next race. Stadler, who of course has won here in this race at this track in the past. Justin Rebello also about to cross the line, but Marco, yeah, impressive from Foggy. He really did seem to have a few tenths on everyone else out there. He's yeah, and him and XBR seemingly know how to tame this car. It seems.
I mean, 7.3 seconds over his teammate Johnny Brandon. That's quite a big gap. Of course, he had the advantage because he was able to, well, not the advantage, but the fact that he pulled away quickly left Johnny Jackson and other drivers, for a few laps they were battling hard with each other, and so I think it's a very well deserved win with an impressive gap over second place. I also think everyone has gone home safe and sound. Let's go with the race results.
Yes, and it's Nicole
Please
Foggy
ignore
who
the points, they will be removed very soon.
awesome. Nicole Foggy wins out, 7 seconds ahead of Johnny Brandon. Chris Jackson rounds out the podium. Then behind that was Tony Klusterman, Richard Warmingham, Greg Carr, Lane O'Connor, Marco Nomella, Jamie McKnight, and Gary Croft rounding out the top 10. There was Anthony Woodward, Wayne Sanderson, Clyde Whiting, Yasser Sebula, Steve Lavelli, Ben Light, C.R. Reed, Taylor Lane, Nikolai Bogotyrev, Sam Buzan, Marco Lewert, Philip Antonia, Jamie Wilson, Andrew Hoffman, Dominic Sori, Bobby Childs, Michael Frost, JP Busalan, Justin Rebelle, Peter Bingham, Michael Mueller, and Hal Stadler was the last driver on the lead lap, and I believe the last driver who will be eligible for the reverse grid. George McClay and Joshua Chin were 1 lap down, and then the retirees were Bill Switzer, John Manley, and Adam Chmielewski, who had a big impact at the end of the back straight. So, Marco, for the first time in 2020, dare I say, and for potentially several weeks prior to that as well, we've got the reverse grid.
Again, Sam, you probably have been overworked because we had a reverse grid wheel on Sunday for the American GT.
Yep, but that you weren't broadcasting that. That was Sam
I was
Kuhlman.
commentating.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are right. Samuel stole that reverse grid wheel from me. But yeah, this is my first reverse grid wheel for quite a while. I have to give you that. And so it should be on your screen right now. And thankfully, it is very useful to have a big wheel because it will help with the bigger grids this season. Well, let's roll it. And it's going to be a relatively small one, 16 minus 2, which is 14, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so yeah, very small reverse grid then. So just missing out is Steve Lavelli and Ben Light. Oh, I feel bad for Ben Light because he gained 22 places. Needed to gain 24 in order to get within that reverse grid. Also, Nikolai Bogotyrev may have been in the range prior to the last lap when he seemingly ran out of fuel. But instead, on pole position will be Yaroslav Sebula, Clyde Whiting. Well, we know that he's hacked the wheel then because he starts in second place. Great opportunity for the club driver. Wayne Sanderson, a driver who I haven't seen too much of in the past, in third place, and Andrew Woodward, a driver who we've seen plenty of in the past, starts in fourth place. So, bit of a mixed-up grid. Are Nicole Foggy and Johnny Benton going to be able to get their way back up to the front? We'll find out in about 20 minutes' time. Race 2 in the UAV8 Supercar Series.
Growing up as a kid in Oklahoma, where I'm from, the Chili Bowl is the biggest race that we have. The Chili Bowl has kind of been my favorite race of the year. Growing up a dirt racer in Oklahoma, that's kind of the holy grail.
Welcome back to the Racetech UV8 Supercar Series live on Apex Racing TV. Once again, I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and once again, I'm joined alongside by Marco Barboneer. We are preparing for race 2 of the evening in this media day, and on pole position for this race 2 is going to be Yasser Sebula. After a reverse grid, he was put on pole position due to finishing in 14th place. In second place, it's Clyde Whiting, then it's Wayne Sanderson, Anthony Woodward, Guy Croft, Jamie McKnight, Marco Namella, Lane O'Connor, Greg Carr, and Richard Warming. That's the top 10. Plenty of other competitive gyros further down the order. Nicole Foggy, in particular, race 1 winner, starts in 14th place with a real possibility, perhaps, getting a podium could he even win a race? We've seen some pretty crazy things in this series, and that would certainly not be the craziest thing. So just a minute for these drivers to get onto the grid, and we will very soon be underway in these slightly darker conditions. 29 degrees track temperature for these drivers to deal with. So it's Yasser Sebula from pole position, then Clyde Whiting alongside him on the front row of the grid. And we are away for race 2. 45 minutes of racing. A good start from the drivers on the second row. A good, awful start for Whiting. He's dropped down, probably down into 10th place already. Remarkable. That was Sabula. Apologies, it's Whiting. He's still out in the lead. Sanderson, good start for him. Pretty much everyone's just gained one position. It was a dreadful start for the pole sitter, and now he got a big crash in the middle, and that's going to involve other drivers. Have the front runners from race 1 got through that? I believe they have. It's occurred quite far down the order, but it was Yasser Sebula who was one of the drivers involved in all of that. We'll get a rundown of the drivers involved in a second. Meanwhile, Whiting under massive pressure from Wayne Sanson. It's the car number 45 who moves up into the lead past the chrome liveried Clyde Whiting, and it is a change for the lead already. Foggy up 4 places. He's crucially got ahead of Jackson. I think Brandon may have been involved in that big crash.
You are right, he's towed back to the pits. Thankfully for him, this is a non-points paying ground as McKnight really deep on the brakes, trying to intimidate Clyde Whiting there. Foggy and Wormingham and Klusterman and O'Connor and Carr already up in the top 10. Oh, wow, off goes the leader.
Anderson. And Whiting was involved as well. Whiting's had issues. He's dropped down into 8th place. I can only imagine Whiting went into Sanderson unless they both outbraked themselves. Oh, well, yeah, Clyde's just gone a little bit too far then. Did well not to dip onto the grass himself. And Sanderson, he'd done nothing wrong, drops down into 19th place from the lead. McKnight now in the lead. This was this big impact then.
Oh! Number 88, I think, closed the door involuntarily, of course, it's Sebula. I mean, Sebula with a disaster of a start. And see from his perspective. Remember, he was the pole sitter.
Like how the drivers just almost skim past them. Every single one ever so close, trying to get the best launch from themselves. Sebula, well, he doesn't.
Oh, he got that. Oh, he got a door. Oh, he got door slammed. I knew this was not intentional from Yaroslav. He's a very clean driver. Sadly, this creates all sorts of chaos. And we go back live.
Greg Carr moving past Anthony Woodward. Maybe some team games being played by those guys.
What is McKnight doing?
I don't think anyone's going to notice that apart from us and him. Maybe it's just like an involuntary action where he feels lap 2 of the race, I've got to start flashing the lights. But
at least when we do something sports related, I think we all have a little bit of things that we do. For example, you know, one could flash his lights, or maybe he was just happy that he made the pass for the lead. As Woodward on Carr.
So coming back at Carr, I think Carr went very wide, didn't he? Through the final corner, maybe had to get out of the throttle. That's not really what these guys need. They need to be looking ahead rather than be bothering about each other. This is allowing Lane O'Connor to close right in. Also Tony Klusterman. Oh, Klusterman a little bit offline. That's not what he needed. It's putting him under massive pressure now from Foggy, who will try to go down the inside. Of course, O'Connor could perhaps give his teammate Foggy a bit of a slipstream if he sees him in his mirrors. It gives him a little bit of a slipstream. I don't think that's just not necessarily deliberate. Klusterman will do everything to keep Foggy behind him, and he just about does. That inside line much better through the carousel, it seems. Not quite the same in GT cars. As a car going the long way round, he had to make this move on the last lap, and he makes it again. Now Woodward has to be careful from O'Connor It's got a much better launch going into the toe. And car does, apologies, Woodward does defend well.
Whiting in 8th place now after that mistake, the contact with the previous race leader Wayne Sanderson, now under big pressure from Jackson, Wormingham and Lavalli as so there Jackson trying to go for a move, couldn't make it stick, and still this massive fight here as Bogatairev and Galait are side by side. I have to say this black box sim racing is absolutely my favorite livery so far this year, but the XVR livery also is quite beautiful, especially on the Ford.
I mean, I think the Never Quit Racing livery as well, it's very good as well. Big change for them. No, it looks very good. Steve Lavelli into the pits again. I think he pitted in lap 1 as well. Sorry, race 1.
Race 1, yes, exactly. I don't know if it's part of a strategy.
I mean, if that's a superstition of him, it's quite a costly superstition. It's not going to gain you many places.
It's better to do it like McKnight and flash your red lights.
Yeah. Bogatairev, who marginally missed out on the reverse grid. I think he started something like 19th, but had some fuel issues at the end of race 1. He's under pressure from Harold Stadler, who's having to make up some places after starting way down the study. He's up 19 places. Teammates George McClay are not too far behind either. McClay also starting very far down. Could be an opportunity. Oh, sorry, O'Connor's. Has he got past? No, sorry, he's staying ahead of Klusman, so no change amongst these top drivers. It's very confusing seeing all these Never Quit Racing and all these XVR drivers battle one another. They are now 4 seconds off the lead. Here comes O'Connor. Not there.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get used to this new NQR livery. The one they had 2-3 seasons ago was amazing. This is very good as well, but it will take some time to get used, I'm sure.
That's a complete lap 4 then. Overtaking at a premium so far. Everyone very competitive, obviously, but even then, you'd expect a few more overtakes, especially for the race 1 winner, Nicole Foggy. Here we go. We might see one hit. Tony Klusman down the inside of Lane O'Connor. And, oh, he just about moves ahead. He was fortunate there, Klusman, that O'Connor backed out of that one. Otherwise, he would have been quarter panelled and gone up into that runoff area. Instead, Klusman gets ahead, and I'd expect Foggy to get past O'Connor extremely quickly now.
On the backstretch, the slipstream making it possible for the XVR driver to close back in. Klusterman defends the inside, and it's a successful move. Now we'll have to defend the inside once again as they enter into the boot, but seems to have just a little bit of an advantage that will make it possible for him to stay in front as Whiting and Wormingham are fighting. And I think Whiting has gotten the position back from Wormingham, having lost it already, as also, here we go, Klusterman getting past Woodward.
And Woodward now under pressure. Oh, he nearly takes out his own teammate, and he was hit seemingly by O'Connor. I didn't think it was a big hit from O'Connor, to be fair, but it was enough. Yeah, I think it's just a small tap, and when they're under so much load under the brakes there, just a small tap like that can send the car going off. And Woodward, he was going really well in the podium places, drops down now into 8th place. Here's JP Busalan also off the circuit, a long way off the circuit.
Contact with Bobby Childs. Missed race 1, but we are happy to have in race 2, of course.
Whiting is in 2nd place, still doing decently. McClay and Galait, both very quick drivers. Galait gained 22 places, I believe, in race 1, just missed out on the reverse grid. Oh, and McClay, who finished runner-up last season. Oh, and that's hard into the wall for Galait.
Oh,
that
sorry
could be
to cut
massive
away.
damage for him.
because we have a
Oh,
fight
change for the lead. Or sorry, the second place.
Yeah, sorry to cut away very quickly, but Nurmela car slugging it out for second place. We will go back to that very soon. I'd say we can go back there now.
Yes, a nice move from Greg Carr.
No, this wasn't it. This was Philip Antonia crashing and retiring. And then we had the other crash. Well, not crashing, stopping and this was already happened. Here we go. This is Bengalaiten. All on his own, I would say. There was no contact. But that portion of the track is so difficult, and that's the blown engine, unfortunately. So difficult, especially with these cars, which are... These cars do not respond straight away to your inputs. So it's very difficult to make a last second correction if you want to avoid the wall, and that is a tough part of the racetrack to make a mistake in, because there is no room for errors. The guardrail, the Armco barrier is there. No escape road, nothing.
Hal Sadler negotiating that same part of the circuit now, leaving plenty of room for margin. Doesn't feel as though he needs that extra few inches of circuit in order to get past Michael Mueller. Mueller doing very well up in 11th place. Gary's been around in the series for a while, similar length to Hal Stadler. And Stadler just about... Has he got that move done? Mueller almost keeping part of his car alongside, and if he really wants to go for this, he could maybe wedge his car on the inside. Stadler runs wide, almost running the perimeter of that corner, and he loses out. Here comes George McClay as well. These two don't want to take each other out, and Stadler almost opening for him right there. This is just losing him unnecessary time. He had the move done, and then he outbroke himself. And he's, lost plenty of time due to it. Here comes McClay. We're almost going to have 3 wide if they outbreak themselves. They're 2.5 seconds behind Clyde Whiting. He's a very catchable driver. Oh, dear.
No.
Now they're going to both have to go wide. In the end, Boccataio managed to get ahead of McClay. This that happened. Ryan just outbroke himself, I think, there. Really, the move wasn't on, and just couldn't slow the car down for tapping that rear corner. McClay on Boccataio then. It's already made this move, I believe. Gonna make it for a second time, though. Much more speed. Sanderson also only just behind. Be interesting to watch Sanderson's times. We really don't know how quick the Australian is. And, well, it'll be painful if he turns out to be very quick, because he was leading after half a lap before a tap from Clyde Whiting sent him off the circuit. Still a corner ahead of Foggy. Usually we see some team orders from XBR. Not so far.
Comparison in lap times between McKnight and Carr. Interesting to see now with a somewhat clean racetrack, but McKnight for the time being seems to be able to hold on. He has more or less similar lap times compared to Carr. So let's see this time around for lap 8. He sets at 46.6. Greg Carr gains 0.2 of a second on him.
slowly bringing that gap down. Long race this, 45 minutes. Don't believe we're going to... Maybe we are going to have 25 and 45-minute races for this upcoming season, because we're getting the laps of the past as Foggy trying to get past... Apologies, Chris Jackson's got past Nicole Foggy, has he?
He has, yes.
That was a bit surprising. Meanwhile, Nomella under pressure from Klusman, so yeah, Foggy's lost a lot of time. He's now 3 seconds behind Klusman. I'm shocked that Foggy didn't straight away get past Lane O'Connor, but it was easy for Jackson, almost Foggy asking him to go by, leaving him 90% of the circuit to move into.
Let's jump aboard with Tony.
Watch out for how much wall he leaves at this final corner. It's a very tight angle. Oh, that's surely going to be real. That's a save. Oh, he's going to go into the back of him. He does go into the back of him. Where is Nomella? I think he's okay. Klusman did not want to lift out of that one. That was a brilliant save from Mark Nomella. That was as if it was in slow motion. 4. I mean, that was possibly save of the season, and we're only and the season hasn't even started yet.
I don't think this fight is over just yet. Klusterman, certainly Marco Numela, a great addition to the series. It could really be a very, very interesting wild card in the championship hunt. A driver that can certainly go out there and bring home a race win on a good day. We know, and of course he's just starting with these cars. We basically have 5 cars fighting for 3rd place now. Klusterman, Nurmela, Connor, Jackson and Foggy, with Wormingham and Woodward on the outside looking in. At the front of the field, still McKnight, and the gap with Carr now dropping to 4 more tenths of a second, down to 1.6.
Ooh, Jackson versus Foggy. Sorry, Jackson versus O'Connor. Can Jackson pull this one off? Usually the outside line is better here. And Jackson proves that point. He's moved up another place. This is great driving from Chris Jackson. Up into 5th position. Foggy into the pits. Now, I didn't think we were going to have a pit stop in this race. However, if I look at how much fuel they're limited to, 70%. So a pit stop is necessary. Foggy into the pits early on, Marco, and he wasn't having the best time of it, it has to be said, so wanted to get out there straight away. Jackson still under pressure from O'Connor.
Yeah, smart move. I mean, if he felt he was going nowhere and losing time in the traffic, it was a good idea to pit now. Also in the pit is Harald Stadler for Texans Time Motorsport. And let's see when the other drivers will pit, as this fight is absolutely fantastic, going on for the past 18 minutes now, and still going strong. O'Connor, Jackson, Wormingham, Woodward now without Nicole Foggy was going to the pit. Some more contact between Jackson and Lane O'Connor. Oh, Jackson in the grass, good save.
Oh, he's going to come across though on his teammate. That could have been worse with Anthony Woodward. Well, Foggy will be delighted with this because he will undoubtedly be net ahead of these drivers if they did decide to come in on this lap. Such a shame for Jackson. I was picking him up too much, clearly. He got past O'Connor, then O'Connor managed to come back at him. So he has to do some hard work again. Got to get past 2 more XVR drivers after getting past 2 already in this race. Closing up at the front, 1.2 seconds now. It's constant at the moment. Not big mistakes being made by these drivers. However, every single lap, it seems that car is between a tenth and 4 tenths to a second faster. that last lap. In fact, 6/10 faster as Warmingham and Jackson come into the pits. Foggy might get a little bit held up by Hoffman, potentially. Also, not sure if the drivers are taking tyres, Marco. Do we think they're taking tyres?
Doesn't look like it. Let's see now from the... No, they well, no, they are. They are taking tires.
Oh, side by side here with Warmingham and Jackson. Foggy's way ahead. Oh, Jackson just about gets ahead. Oh, but he's going to go beyond the line, surely. If that line is even important. I'm not sure if it is. So just looking at the pit stop times then, 18 seconds was Nicole Foggy's pit stop time. Meanwhile, Hoffman hasn't pitted. So Jackson and Warmingham actually had quicker pit stops, and yet they still came out behind Foggy, and by quite a margin. Just showed how troublesome their in-lap was, I guess. Two race leaders into the pits, while Klusman stay out as well. He's just behind these guys. Car pushing it to the limit. They're all coming in. Well, maybe they've watched Foggy come into the pits and thought, well, I can't afford to be undercut by him. Connor stays out. And look at that behind. George McClay moves up into second position from 33rd on the grid. Obviously trying an alternative strategy, Marco, but I think if he can carry on for another 3 or 4 laps, this could be brilliant for George McClay.
Absolutely, absolutely. Of course, the later you stop, the more you have fresher tires in the end, as now everyone starts again. McKnight still in front of car. Klusterman will be third of this little group, way in front of Nurmela. Here comes Foggy.
Oh. Yep, Foggy's got Nurmela there. So the undercut for Nicole Foggy has cleared a little bit of traffic, however he's still in 4th place when everything will be sorted out. So here are the drivers who haven't pitted then. It's still the top 7 yet to pit. They could go for a while. We think the fuel can probably go a good half an hour or so. But of course you have less benefit of the fresh tyres. But you get some clean air and some very low fuel laps. So even the drivers, I guess, Marco, won't know fully this decision because of course the new tyre model and it's a new car, so they're not totally familiar with the degradation.
Yeah, and those first few laps on new tires are absolutely horrendous. You are skating left and right, so it's going to be tough to decide whether to change them or not. But if you can get past that initial tough moment as O'Connor goes into the pits.
Oh, here comes Foggy around the outside of Klusterman. This could be an incredible move. Klusterman, though, knew he could not allow Foggy to keep alongside, and so, rather aggressively, came across his rival. And this is exactly what you're talking about, Marco. The struggling of the fresh tyres, because you can see Klusterman's lost no time to the race leaders. However, he's under massive pressure from Nicole Foggy, and if Foggy can get past Klusterman here, then this would be a dream strategy move from him. Klusterman is having to do everything he can to keep in that 3rd position. Track position is everything. He takes a very tight line, perhaps too tight line, because here comes Foggy round the outside. Is there going to be contact? There is contact. Foggy moves off the circuit. Klusterman barely gives him room to come back onto the circuit. He has the better line now, does Klusterman. Can he take a normal racing line? Yes, he can for the second part. Foggy runs wide. He has to lift out. And that was firm defending from Tony Klusterman, Marco. You could tell he was never going to let Nicole Foggy go if he had anything to do about it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great stuff. This is what we want to see. Fantastic driving from these two champions. And now I think this fight is far from over as McClay there at the front still, together with Muller and Reed, has not pitted. the only 3 guys to not pit, together with JP Buslen, and in the top 20, Marco Levert. Here we go again. Let's go on board with Nicole.
This is where he almost got past on the last lap. Policeman way earlier on the brakes. For Klusterman, I guess, if he does lose a bit of time, it's not the end of the world. There's still 20 more minutes to go. He could perhaps still catch up to the top 2, and the top 2 are his teammates. Look at this, Klusterman leaving almost no space whatsoever. That's what I was talking about, leaving maybe 1% more than a car's width to the end of the circuit, and that's all that Nicole Poggi is going to get. And look at Namella catching up to these guys very quickly. McClay and Mueller coming into the pit, so CR Reed now, the race leader. However, he's only 3.5 seconds ahead of Jay McKnight and lapping much slower.
Jackson 44.875, that's the fastest lap of the race. Here come out of the, well, McClay with a very long stop. Or not. No, yeah, it's
It was a little bit longer.
Oh, no, 16 seconds, sorry. No, it's a normal stop as Klusterman and Foggy again.
Outside line hasn't worked all day long. Could this be the first? They're rubbing one another. Klusterman puts his nose ahead. However, Foggy this time has the better line. Now, the Canadian has to go all the way around the outside. That's going to be tough to do. Much further distance. And Foggy now moves ahead. Klusterman will try to retaliate. However, it feels as though the move is done. Despite everything that Tony Klusterman tried to do, it wasn't enough. And Nicole Foggy moves up into the podium places, and all of a sudden, a race win from 14th on the grid is looking very possible.
Let's see, McKnight here. Defending from car. This is the fight for the race lead, effectively, because CR Reed will have to head for the pits. Himself, Buslen and Chin are the only drivers to not pit yet, but
wow.
Reed, with some extra tank space, apparently, is keeps on going.
Well, I think it's a pretty good strategy from Reed. However, I think he should have probably pitted that time, because now he's going to start losing a lot of time as these guys come racing past him. It's one of the absolute worst things. Of course, you don't want to have to wait behind slower drivers, but also you don't want to be overtaken by faster drivers, because you're going to lose a lot of time. Greg Kark pick up a nice slipstream. McKnight losing out. Getting past CR Reed. The car wasn't close enough. Now, what do you think their strategy will be from what we know about NQR, Marco? Will these two be free to race, or will Foggy catching them behind? Will they lots in behind and think tactically?
I mean, it's the media day, so I would expect this fight to be very open without any kind of excessive team orders.
Klusterman's still only 0.3 of a second behind Foggy, and Foggy will probably catch up to CR Reed towards the end of this lap. Might just be worth keeping an eye on that one, because, I mean, the moment that Klusterman gets a sniff of an opportunity, he'll go for it. He might be very fortunate, actually, Foggy. He might not. Well, you know what? If CR Reed comes into the pits and takes a tight entry to that final quarter, to the pit lane, he could be in trouble here. Could Foggy? Would he go to the inside? Goes to the outside. Klusterman. Can he get a better run? Reed comes into the pits, and this is the opportunity now for the Never Quit Racing driver. Namella also mega close. Sorry, apologies. Reed didn't even come into the pits that time either. Oh, Klusterman, is he going to go for it? No, has to stay behind.
Wow, I was sure he went for the pits. The way he took a very, very tight line really caught me by surprise, as the sky is getting orange.
Oh,
and
this is going to be dangerous.
more orange, yes. Oh, Nurmela, look at that.
That was Bill Switzer, I believe, coming out of the pit. difficult to take your eyes away from this fight. But Foggy dealing with the traffic well and stays in third place, however, making no impression on the race leaders. Tight battles further behind. Chin, Wilson, Whiting. Whiting with that late pit stop. Chin and Wilson, of course, are teammates for... who are they teammates for?
Chin and Wilson, Team Chimera.
Of course. Their name went out of my head. Also former World F3 drivers, of course. Good to see them back. I haven't seen Chimera for a while, actually, on circuit. I haven't seen too much of them on Apex Racing TV, but nice that they're representing out here today. This lap, I think McKnight just pulling a little bit further away from Greg Car, apologies. Was, in fact, 1/10 slower to be fair than Car. Of course, the most important part of the circuit, this uphill section. And actually, Car seems to be a little bit more confident through that. And does gain by 1.5 tenths of a second, because if you can nail that one, then of course you're improving your entire run down here. And maybe, for the first time, McKnight's going to have to go defensive, unless they've agreed that Car won't get past that breaking point for the carousel. Not big enough, and Car's, though, certainly putting himself in the mix, and this is a remarkable pace shown by Greg Carr, Marco, who has improved, as we were saying earlier on. However, this is a whole new level for him, taking on the absolute best in this series.
Absolutely fantastic. I was not expecting him to be this quick this soon. He certainly looks to be one of those drivers who really benefited and made that leap forward that couldn't get with the old car, with the new car. Absolutely good to see him at the front of the field, fighting with his teammate. And there's a certain Tony Klusterman here trying to make a clean podium sweep for his team. Also, last time around, George McClay on the cameras right now, fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, he is properly fast. It's incredible how close the field is. I don't know if you can do like the interval thing on the tower, Marco, but currently the top 11 drivers only separated by 14 seconds. They're really close out there, and so George McClay playing in purple lap times, that's really relevant. He could catch up to maybe even the podium drivers. You see, he's only pretty much the pit straight behind the race leaders and lapping over a second a lap faster. We've got a while to go yet. C.R. Reed finally coming into the pits. He left that one too long. You could see when McClay got past him, he pretty much had to stop on the inside of the circuit. Should have pitted about 4 laps ago. But credit to him, he will be very quick towards the end of the race at least.
And gave us somewhat of a baseline of 32 minutes, more or less, is the max you can push these cars until you empty your tank, at least with a 70% fuel limit.
McClay has to get past Anthony Woodward straight away. And that's what he has done. Next up, Lane O'Connor, 2 seconds to catch up. Really, once he gets past O'Connor, then the world's his oyster. Then he'll have 4 seconds to catch up quite easily, and then he'll be onto the back of the Warmingham pack for the podium. So really looking good for George McClay at the moment. Josh Chin under pressure from Clyde Whiting. There goes Whiting. Pressure tyres, of course, for the Brits. The Norfolk man from Easton, I believe, is Clyde Whiting, where I play tennis sometimes. So, absolutely legendary part of the world.
So I think this is the championship where you have the chance to be elected the commentator of the season, given that you have ties with the organizer, and of course the organizer himself voted me for most annoying commentator of the season in 2019. So
I'm still bitter about that Sim Racers World GT series where me and Mark, we toiled away for the entire year. And Mark was given commentator of the year, and I was sidekick of the year as well.
Still a good prize to bring home.
Some good memes came out of it. Here we go. Change for the lead, maybe. Greg Carr down the inside of Jamie McKnight. Good pace carry, though, by McKnight on the outside. And he stays ahead. He's got the better line as well. The contrasting blue and orange liveries. Oh, Carr's almost kept himself alongside. That was nearly a mistake from McKnight there. He was so concentrated on getting a good exit, he almost didn't even think about the possibility of Carr going round his outside. Are losing each other now some time. They've pretty much been able to match Nicole Foggy's times, which is remarkable how quick these guys have been. However, the moment they start fighting, that was probably half a second at least lost. Due to that small fight, McKnight goes wide. Carr not close enough to take advantage.
So let's see this time. Last lap, Carr gained 0.166 on Foggy. Let's see if in this lap because if Foggy gains on these guys, then Klusterman, Nurmela, Jackson, Wormingham, they will all come storming for the top 2 positions in the field. Let's see. Carr 47.166, 1 second gained by Foggy. This could be super tasty, Sam. Only 10 minutes left.
McClay lapping about 2 seconds faster than these guys. He's only 10 seconds off the lead. So if this continues as it is, we could genuinely have probably an 8-car fight for the lead towards the end of this race. It's fantastic, this new car, with the foundations that this series has, of course, building up such a superb reputation over the years. Fantastic to have this quality of driving exhibited here before this season 8 of this championship. And you pick out this field, and there are so many drivers who could potentially win the championship, let alone win races, of course. Greg Carr with a little bit of a slide in. This gap has massively reduced. It's gone from about 3 seconds between the leaders to 1.5 seconds.
Look at on your screen, Foggy still gaining after an equal first sector, 2 tenths in the second, 2 tenths in the third. There are 4 sectors in this track. No, I joke, it's 5 sectors. Why can't we have 3 sectors in every track?
I don't know. It has been requested for the SDK Gaming timing, which of course you can find details about. Just search SDK Gaming and it will come up. You can have live timing, you can have kind of a dashboard for when you're racing. It is really useful. Some of the algorithms they use for the fuel is very useful, so you can have that up on your screen and it can recommend how much fuel you need for the end of the race. Brilliant for streaming, and well, we certainly appreciate it for broadcasting as well, so massively recommend checking it out. Jackson is much faster than Nomella, down to 1/4 of a second. If he doesn't get past quickly, then the likes of Wormingham and McClay, I think, will soon be on him. Jackson looks to the outside. Nomella defending well. There is something about these cars. I'd say there's something about these cars, Marco, but whenever we watch these things, they look faster than they actually are, of course, just due to the power with them sliding around each of these corners. These things slower than GC3 cars, but I mean, when you see them roar up the hill at the start of the lap, they seem a whole lot faster.
Well, to quote Alan Prost, when I drive fast, I drive cleanly and it looks like I'm driving slow. When I'm driving all over the place, it looks like I'm driving fast, but in reality I'm slow, no? So yeah, the way these cars move. But you know, it's like when people were making those stupid comparisons between the F1 and Indy cars at COTA on the lap times. That doesn't make any sense, you know, because It's all in the fun and the showmanship and the show. Sorry, if a car is 10 seconds faster than one another, but you can pass to save your life, I'm sorry, I take the slower car. And these cars are absolutely brilliant to drive, as Nurmela and Jackson are showing right now.
Jackson gets ahead of Marco Namella. Maybe took him a little bit too long, and maybe he's got a little bit too much time to gain in order to challenge his teammate Tony Klusman. However, it was a very good effort, and Jackson, certainly on this media day, showing the pace he has got. It's a three-way fight, though, for the lead, and it seems as though with the upturn of pace for these guys at the front, seems like that will be how it turns out for the rest of this event. Jackson, apologies, Namella having to go defensive against Warmingham. McClay 2.5 seconds behind. McClay's lap time's dropping off a little bit. He's going about a second lap slower than he was before, so not making the progress he was earlier on. Namella all over the place. He's got it stopped, or as he just leaves the car's width for Warmingham to slide down the inside of. However, he can't make it stick Warmingham on that very tight line he was forced to adopt.
Three-way fight. Oh, McKnight sideways.
I think Klusman will catch up to these guys by the end of the race, just due to him being in clean air. Don't know if he'll have time to overtake these guys or not. I can't get over, to be fair, how quick Greg Carr is. Because he is really good, but this is proper, you know, championship quality driving from Greg Carr exhibited so far today, both in race 1 and race 2. It's only a matter of time when he wins a race.
And if he continues like this, he could already be, and probably already is, if he can translate this form into the regular season, #1 challenger for the club championship, the gentleman championship. Yeah, the club championship, because his closest rival is in 14th, Clyde Whiting.
Oh, cars going down the inside of McKnight. Don't take each other out. They have made contact, and through goes Nicole Foggy. Unbelievable. The Never Quit Racing drivers, well, I think they were organising something there where Carr went to the inside to cover off the challenge from Foggy. But in the end, they've done the absolute worst thing. And Nicole Foggy did not even have to try to overtake those two drivers. How strange was that, Marco? I don't know if we could just go back like a little bit further, as Richard Warmingham's had issues. But it was strange why the line that Carr was taking in order to defend against Foggy. But either way, it's really not worked out for them.
Let's see from the chopper, from McKnight, who was the leader of the race. This is a bit too far behind, but this is the closest we can get to what happened on the racetrack. I don't know if they were, as we say hello to Bobby Childs. Sadly got a meatball flag. Hopefully will be a regular presence this season. Hello Bobby. Let's see. So McKnight on the outside, the car on the inside.
Yeah,
Just the smallest of contacts, but of course, and this is something that Carr especially will, well, I think he knows it, McKnight knows it, you can never gift anything to Nicole Foggy. He will take it away from you in an instant. As now Nurmela struggling with these tires, probably. Here comes McClay. And McClay
fresh
gets it done.
I say fresh tyres at least.
And this car is so black. It doesn't even reflect the light. It's I wouldn't want to have him in my mirrors in a night race. You would only see the two headlights basically in that car.
Is it matte?
Yeah, it's like a matte. It's matte, the most that you can have basically.
Jamie Wilson and Isaac Clyde Whiting. Yeah, these two still battling. Josh Chin gets a little bit further ahead of these guys. Also, Sanderson he was leading at one point, Sanderson and Whiting. It's like the first lap all over again. Especially around this part of the track. Didn't end too well last time. You wonder where Sanderson could have been if it weren't for that. It's lap 25 in the books. Is this going to be... It is going to be the last lap, I assume.
It's very tight, but should be the white flag. Let's see. Of course, with iRacing, one thing that we know is that we never know.
Of course, yeah, apologies. So, yeah, that's definitely the last lap. We only just got in this lap. So, last lap of the race for these guys. 15 laps the first race. 26 will be the second race. And Foggy pulling away. 1.2 seconds clear. McClay, of course, got past Namella. However, McClay won't quite catch up to Jackson in time. That strategy of going a little bit further has worked out for McClay. He's up 27 seconds, 27 places from his start. As Jamie Wilson, unfortunately, having to take some extra fuel, it seems, right at the end of this one. And such is the competitiveness of this build. He's going to drop over 10 places. Also, taking some tyres, which is a tad unnecessary, I imagine. But it seems like all these battles pretty much being sorted out at the front of the field. Still got Carr chasing McKnight. You wonder, was it there for Never Quit Racing? Take a 1-2 for McKnight to get his first win for a couple of seasons. Instead, it looks as though it's going to go the same way as race 1. It was certainly not as in control for Nicole Foggy, but a brilliant strategy, pitting one lap earlier than everyone else. Got past Kloosman, caught up to the top 2, and almost straight away got straight past. Nicole Foggy rounds the final corner. The race 1 winner will end the media day on top. He will win race 2 at Watkins Glen. McKnight and Carr round out the podium. However, they will be thinking what could have been. Kloosman and Jackson in 4th and 5th. McClay beats Namella. And Namella beats Warmium, O'Connor and Woodward, rounding out the top 10. Still some racing going on. Stadler trying to catch up to Wilson. He's got one fresh tyre, which could be quite dangerous, Marco, because he's going to have a very unbalanced car.
I did that yesterday in the IMSA race. I changed the front tires only, I think, of my car by mistake. Then I had to pit again because the car was absolutely felt so weird. It was undrivable. And it's a GT3 car with all the electronics you can imagine. So this is even worse.
He's caught some Stadler. These final two corners aren't traditional overtaking corners. However, running a little bit wide, there's Wilson. Stadler will try to get him on the run to the line. But it's not a very long run to the line. Gets the power down. It's not enough, though. It'll be Jamie Wilson finishing in 17th place. Stadler recovering to 18th. Frustrating day for him. You'll be glad that no points were dished out today. This just a practice. And, well, it seemed pretty serious all the while. Nikolai Bogatira, well, he doesn't like fuel, Bogatira. I'm just trying to think of was it Dries Mujti last season in the sim race as well?
In the sim reservoir, yeah. First part of the season, I think he fired several engineers in a row because every race he ran out of fuel. One race was also he was able to win it despite running out of fuel and having to make an extra pit stop. Everyone is home, so you were saying about media day not counting. I'm quite sure Nicole Foggy is secretly already petitioning to Clyde Whiting to have this round count because it is a perfect start of the season, and already he knows that he's feeling 100% with this car. But also McKnight and Carr, fantastic run, especially Carr, great consistency. Tony Klusterman, a lot of trouble, but he was able to be there or thereabouts. Want to see more from Nurmela, but it's a great beginning. And Brandon, unfortunately, unlucky in race 2, but a good start in race 1. And now, I think, we can give you the race results.
Yeah, the final results then of this race 2 in the media day of season 8 of the Year of the 8 Supercar Series sponsored by Racetech. Nico Foggy wins out 1.2 seconds ahead of Jamie McKnight. Good car running out the podium. Then it's a so it's a 2, 3, 4, 5 for No-Cut Racing with Policeman and Jackson finishing in those two lower positions. George McClay, only 8 seconds off the lead after starting in 33rd place. Really good job from him. He's going to be one of the favourites for the championship. Marco Nomella finished in 7th. Then was Richard Warmingham, Lane O'Connor, Anthony Woodward, Joshua Chin, Wayne Sanderson, Clyde Whiting, Nikolai Bogotyrev, who ran out of fuel after the race, so it was all fine for Bogotyrev. There was Michael Mueller, C.R. Reed, who went for an ambitious strategy. By the way, vast gap between 15th and 16th players. Don't quite know how that went. But there you are. Jamie Wilson had to pit for fuel late on. Halstead, I think, had to pit for a fast repair. There was Andrew Hoffman, Sam Buzan. Wasn't quite a successful day for Buzan as the last time we visited this place. Marco Louette in 21st, then it was Dominic Sori. Peter Bingham was the last driver on the lead lap, then 1 lap down was Guy Croft, 2 laps down. Bill Switzer, 3 laps down was JP Buzan, and then the proper retirees were Bobby Childs, Justin Rebello, Steve Lavelli, Michael Frost, Ben Galite, Philip Antonia, Taylor Lane, Yasser Sebula, and Johnny Brandon, the defending champion. Was caught up in a collision with the pole sitter Sebula right from the start. They were out on the spot. So, interviews with drivers. Who are we going to have a chat with first? Well, we've only got one interview, but it's a very good interview, and it's a driver who we can always rely on giving us an interview. It's Tony Kloisterman, who finished in 4th place in race 2, and I believe 4th place in race 1 as well. So, Tony,
Can't hear you guys.
not a bad first day for you in this series in this car, and yeah, just take us through that race 1 for you because it was quite eventful. You had to make a few overtakes. Tony, are you with us?
Test.
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
you.
But I don't think he can
no.
hear us, unfortunately.
I
So-
mean, yeah, you can hear me, Marco, I assume, and I can hear you. So
It's been a tough day, you know, on that front. But I can definitely hear you, and I could hear Tony say test, but apparently he couldn't hear us. So let's try, I think, Sam, with the newcomer to the series, whilst Tony tries to fix his problems. It's Marco Nurmela. Hello, Marco.
Hello.
So we know you are a very quick driver. You are racing many different categories. Was this your first time driving the V8s in a competitive championship?
I drove one race last season on the old car, and after that I had a shoulder problem. So this is my first race back from the shoulder problem. So yeah.
How did you find racing with this car? How did you find racing in such a large field of V8 supercars?
It's fun, really fun. I had a lot of work to do to keep my positions there.
So, what do you think about the reverse grid format, especially in the second race with the reverse grid? Did you find it challenging to try and go back to the front?
It's fun. It's there is some other series I have run with the same idea, so yeah, it's fun. Spice up the competition on racing.
So, keeping our fingers crossed, this will be your first full season in the championship. What is your objective, your aim for the upcoming season?
Finish all the races.
Seems like a perfectly reasonable thing to hope for, especially as a newcomer to the series. Thank you very much, Marco. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank for you guys and for the streaming and yeah, and for the league, and team. They at least were watching some of them. So yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you very much and catch you very soon then.
Yeah, bye.
I love these drivers who are of very few words but very direct. The opposite of me, by the way. I tend to talk a lot and say a lot of unnecessary stuff. So that was Marco Nurbela, number 36 for Racecraft Esports Olden. We have lost. He has been, I think, projected into.
back.
No, he's back. He's back. He went into the shadow realm for a second. Let's try again. Sam Fitzpatrick with Tony Klusterman.
Here we go. Tony, can you hear me?
I can, thank you.
Oh, beautiful.
Awesome. So, as I said earlier on, you finished, I believe, 2 fourth places today. Take us through race 1 because he had a couple of issues, I believe, in off, and also a couple of nice battles with Jamie McKnight.
Yeah, first complex CSs, I lost it, and I was trying to gather it back up, and unfortunately, George McClay ran off the road there and ruined his race, but managed to carry on, lost a lot of spots, managed to make some up. It was a good battle. Certainly, Foggy's got pace, but it seems our team's got some overall pace as well. So pleased with that. And the second race, had a great battle with Foggy. I'm sure you guys caught most of that. And at the end, he just had more tire than everybody else, I think.
Yeah, his pace near the end of the race was extremely impressive. You must be really pleased with your teammates. Of course, fantastic to have Jamie McKnight back in the series, of course, with you guys now, and also Greg Carr as well on top form, and obviously, Chris very competitive as well. So you guys must be very confident going into this season.
Yeah, very happy. Greg is showing great pace, doing some good work on setups. It's nice to have Jamie on the team. Jamie and I have been friends for quite a while, and I think he's going to be a great addition for the team championship.
And looking forward to the coming season. I mean, it's pretty obvious what your aim will be. It will be for your 3rd title, I imagine. Is that the aim for you?
Well, I think the aim was always to go for the title. I'm really excited that we're going to have a chance for the team championship this year. I see that we've got some great entries in the series, so it's not going to be a walkaway by anybody, that's for sure.
And in terms of the new car, how have you felt it's been? Do you prefer the way that it drives to the old V8 supercars? Yeah, and what do you think of the new tire model as well?
Well, cars are night and day difference from the old ones, and certainly I'm having some trouble adjusting to it or adapting to it. So every track that we've gone to in the official so far has been difficult to get a set that works for me. So more practice and more experimenting. Well, I'm sure we'll find something. Tire models very interesting. It's hard to get any grip in the first couple of laps. Other people seem to be getting more out of the tire during qualifying than I am. So we got work to do.
Certainly, but a long season coming up. We wish you the best of luck, Tony. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Never Quit Racing, Cinemobility, all our teammates, everybody does a great job there. Thanks to Racetech for sponsoring the league. We couldn't do it without them. And for you guys for the broadcast, thank you very much.
Thanks for having a chat with us, Tony, and best of luck for Monza in 2 weeks' time.
Take care.
So that was Tony Klusterman. It was worth the wait, no doubt about that. I think our final interview is going to be with Anthony Woodward, who got a 10th and an 11th place finish. First up, Anthony, I mean, of course, well done on those results. That race 2, particularly at the start, that was quite some battle you were involved in.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Good to be back, innit? I love a media day, me.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, how did you find the racing out there? It seemed like you got in some nice tight battles. So it seemed like the racing was really clean out there.
Yeah, it was good. I didn't get touched by anyone, and I think I might have had a tap at some point in the rear, but nothing dramatic that wasn't recoverable, and then just carried on and raced on. So good, clean race. It was good. Yeah.
Of course, you've raced in this series for a couple of seasons now, a few seasons, I say. Would you
All
say
except
you're
one.
say
Actually, yeah. All except one.
all except one? Yeah, exactly. So, would you say your experience in the previous V8 Supercar? Would you say that's particularly useful now in this new V8 Supercar? Would you say the car's changed so much that it's almost like a blank slate?
No, I think it's definitely been useful driving the old car and then transferring to the new car because see that in the official races. It's like I've got the upper hand in the official races on, people that are new to the car totally. Or so yeah, no, and for me, it's just I'm loving the new car. So I've done, and the last week was this track in official, so I just hammered the practice and tried to get as many races in as I could.
Of course, next track up on the schedule, proper round one of the season, will be Monza. What are your thoughts about that track?
Yeah, driven it. It's a different version, isn't it? So it's not the Grand Prix layout.
Or is it not?
I don't think so. I hope not. Well, doesn't matter. But I've practiced the other track. Yeah, it should be fun. It's going to be some high speed stuff. So I think these cars are a bit better for sort of detection for close racing, maybe. So I think contacts will, not necessarily result in race-ending crashes.
Certainly very good to hear. Should be very good news for the racing this season. What are your aims for this season? Have you plotted any particular goals for yourself?
It's so tough because people come in and they're so fast. I was sat looking at the qualifying. I was nowhere. I was like, "How does this happen?" 2 seasons ago, I was breaking top five. I thought I cracked it, but all these new people came in. So top 10 there was a good. That was my aim. I looked at qualifying and on pace, I wasn't going to get anywhere higher than seventh today. So to get top 10 was brilliant today, really, for me. If I can do that all season, maybe I can crack a top 5 in the championship. Maybe there's a prediction.
Certainly wish you the best of luck for that one, Anthony. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, definitely our sponsors, Some Ability, the team, Never Quit Racing, and Tony and everyone. Um, I'd like to thank yourselves. Can't wait to watch the broadcast as usual. And I've got to thank my fans, the girlfriend Stacey, my daughter Evie May, and Racetech. Unbelievable to have Racetech on board. I haven't said this on broadcast before, but I love Racetech being on board. I'm an avid watcher of the real thing, and on board shots you see Racetech everywhere. So it's great for them to be involved with us.
Thanks for having a chat with us, Anthony, and best of luck for Monza in 2 weeks' time.
No problem at all. Thank you for the broadcast, and see you in 2 weeks.
So Anthony Woodward there, finishing some very good points for him in 10th and 11th. Marco, maybe one more interview with Chris Jackson.
Oh wow, caught me by surprise. I was ready to close everything down, but thankfully I left most of the graphics on the screen, and as I was going through everything, here we go with Chris Jackson. Hello, Chris.
Hey, Marco. Hey, Sam. How's it going?
Doing fine, doing fine. How about you? How was this media day?
It was pretty good. Big group. Competition is definitely up there, so it was a lot of fun.
So you cannot escape this question. We asked it to everyone. How was with the new car, and how does it compare to the old one?
I'm probably different to everyone else's opinion. I'm not a huge fan of the car. When the tires wear off on a hot track, I definitely enjoy it a lot more. But my personal preference is it has a bit too much grip, but it's got huge populations. People are enjoying it and driving it, so that makes it more fun to have more competition in the league.
So you have been in this championship for quite a while now. What are your objectives for the upcoming season 8?
Same as every year. I think with the new league members, anytime I get a top 10 finish, especially in the feature on the reverse splits, is pretty much what I'll be going for individually, but teams championship. And if I can put in some good results, race in, race out, that's pretty much
Next week we are heading for Monza. The website just says Monza. Do you know which variation of the track we are using?
I haven't checked it. I think it's the GP without the chicane, though, if I recall.
Oh dear. Well, what are your thoughts on that track and if you're using that particular version of the racetrack?
Anytime I've ever raced there, it typically ends up being a bit of a draft race. So as long as you don't make a mistake and you stay in a group, it can be very tight racing, but very easy to have a contact with someone, especially in that last corner is usually where a lot of people will make a move, and then into the first corner now without the chicane. So I think it's going to be very, very close.
Awesome. Thank you very much for this interview, Chris. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
I'd like to thank the whole team. A great group of guys. We all contribute. I'd like to welcome Jamie to the NQR clan, and I would like to thank Racetech, our main sponsor, you guys for the broadcast, and everyone who's participating.
Awesome. Thank you very much, and catch you very, very soon then.
Take care, guys.
So this was Chris Jackson for NQR Blue, and now I think, Sam, it is time to call it a night, but not for us here at Apex Racing TV, of course, because in 2 hours from now, switch over to the iRacing Esports Network, where Austin Knight and Adam Bath will tell you everything you need to know about the new round of the Formula 3.5 Championship, live from one of the one of the Euro V8's historical racetracks, of course, Phillip Island. So it has been a fantastic day of racing. That will be the perfect cherry on top to then go to bed happy.
Definitely. Yeah, certainly check out that Formula 3.5 broadcast on the iRacing Esports Network. Phillip Island's always a superb circuit, so no doubt that will be one to watch. Hopefully, you've enjoyed the action on this broadcast today. If you have, please leave a like. Also, subscribe to Apex Racing TV and the iRacing Esports Network, because the series are getting back underway again. I think World GT is still a little while away, I think. But we've got ARLTC for the next 2 weeks to round out the season. That's on Thursday evenings. Rick Motec getting back underway very soon as well. And yeah, of course, the Formula 3.5 series. We've got IndyCar on Friday nights. We've also got the Apex Racing League American GT Championship for the next couple of Sunday evenings as well. And of course, do check out the Racetech UAV8 Supercar Series getting back underway for round 1 of the season in 2 weeks' time. That will be at Monza. You do not want to miss it by any means. So from me and from Marco, we'll say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.